Hello, and welcome back to TUTV. I'm Reese Wood.
And I'm Anderson Bell. We have an exciting show this week. A representative from BeHeard Movement joins us for an interview.
But first, let's get a short recap of this week's major headlines. Representative Thomas Massie, one of the strongest advocates for transparency with the Epstein files, posted on X expressing concern that many names of non-victims were still redacted. The Epstein Transparency Act only requires the redaction of victims' names, but nonetheless included the name of a sultan who was identified sending torture videos to Epstein. The Department of Justice has since unredacted these and similar names, but the DOJ is still yet to release over 2.5 million documents. On February 13th, Massie posted, quote, "I am not suicidal," end quote, among other affirmations of his physical and mental safety. In tech news, the popular online chatting app Discord announced a new attempt at mandatory age verification. According to a press release, users will be restricted to, quote, "a teen-appropriate experience by default," end quote, requiring an identification document and face scan to unlock full access. A previous attempt at age verification in October 2025 was exploited using fictional characters' faces. That same month, Discord suffered a data breach that compromised users' sensitive information, including government IDs.
On Tuesday, February 12th, 45-year-old Librao Rosales was arrested for attempting to break into a home in southern Tulsa County. According to authorities, the suspect was allegedly seen banging on the door. Rosales ran off when authorities arrived on the scene, and he was apprehended shortly after with the help of a canine unit and an on-foot pursuit. Oklahoma congressional Republicans are pressuring education officials to investigate recent anti-ICE walkouts in public schools across the state. 14 lawmakers sent a letter to Lindell Fields, superintendent of Oklahoma Public Education, requesting him to oppose the, quote, "politically charged protests," unquote. They claimed that the protests disrupt students' education and remove them from adult supervision. In its response, the Oklahoma State Department of Education chose not to investigate nor condemn the protests.
Oklahoma native country music star Zach Bryan will be headlining a two-show run at TU's Chapman Stadium in April, but some students are frustrated with the way tickets have been sold. Tickets for the show initially went on sale on December 5th of last year. While tickets were advertised at $100, students were surprised to find tickets starting at $150 once sales began. Many purchased tickets for these high prices under the assumption that tickets would sell quickly. However, the following day, the $100 tickets were available again. Now, ticket prices have dropped even further, with the cheapest entry ticket at just $45. Last week, students received an email offering discounted tickets in prime sections for just $50. One student who spoke to TUTV said that they paid $150 for their tickets, despite that same row now being sold for under $50. TUTV reached out to Athletics for comment. Athletics stated that tickets were non-refundable and non-exchangeable. When pressed on why these pricing decisions were made, they referred to Oak View Group, the promoter of the show, who they claim has ultimate say over ticket pricing and availability. Oak View Group has not responded to our request for comment. One possibility for the continuous decrease in price might be how poorly tickets have been selling. Despite Zach Bryan selling out the BOK Center for 3 straight nights during his 2024 tour and 2 straight nights in 2023, the TU shows have been all but a sellout, with well under 50% of tickets sold with less than 2 months until he takes the stage.
This morning, Swedish furniture retailer IKEA announced in a press release that they plan to open a store in Tulsa in 2026. The store will be located in Tulsa Hills and will be a smaller format than many of their stores, only 50,000 square feet instead of their typical 300,000, with an emphasis on online ordering and pickup. Some Tulsa residents have speculated that it may be in the former Belk building, which shut down on January 18th. In 2024, a community advocacy group was formed seeking to influence IKEA to build a Tulsa location. They set up a pop-up restaurant influenced by IKEA's cafe, created public IKEA art installations, and took charter buses to shop at the Frisco, Texas location, which is currently the closest IKEA to Tulsa.
Last Friday, February 13th, the University of Tulsa's various multicultural organizations collaborated to celebrate the 2026 Lunar New Year. VSA, AASA, KSA, CSA, and the Student Activities Board united at 6 p.m. in the Lorton Performance Center, joined by a full crowd of Tulsa community members. We go to reporter Michael Searles for a full recap of the night's festival.
While traditional Lunar New Year festivals can last over a week, the Tulsa community gathered together for one packed night of celebration to usher in the Year of the Horse. Free food was available in the lobby where collaborating student organizations presented informative poster boards with additional games and activities upstairs. At around 7 o'clock, students, families, and other attendees gathered in the Gusman Auditorium to start the evening show, hosted by organization leaders. The many dance performances were broken up by raffle drawings and a short skit segment. After a surprise performance from the Lunar New Year exec team, the evening concluded with the Lion Dance, a traditional cornerstone of China's Spring Festival. Though heavily influenced by Chinese culture and based on its lunar calendar, Lunar New Year holidays are celebrated across East and Southeast Asian cultures, all of which were on display last Friday. TUTV reporter Morgan Mossberg spoke with one attendee who attended Lunar New Year for the first time this year.
It was so great. The dances were all so good. The CSA dance, the KSA, they just did so good, and then the lion dance at the end. I liked the caricature drawing. The person who was there drew my picture, and they did such a good job. It looked so cute. It was so fun. It was so great. It was such a good experience, and it's free. There's free food. Why not come?
For TUTV, this is Michael Searles with Morgan Mossberg and Oksana Miller.
Wow, lots of great stuff going on around campus and Tulsa at large. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. The new IKEA is an exciting development.
Yeah, no, that's big news. I'm excited to not have to drive down to Dallas and deal with Dallas traffic anytime I want to get furniture, which isn't a lot, but if I ever do, I don't want to have to deal with Dallas traffic, you know? But yeah, a lot more to come after that. So
Still to come, a special guest interview with BeHeard Movement, a nonprofit bringing essential services to Oklahoma's unhoused population.
Plus, a report from last week's turbulent SGA meeting. We'll be back right after this week's weather report.
Hi, I'm Carter Reed, and welcome back to your TUTV weather. Looking now at our 7-day forecast, temperatures will reach the upper 70s by tomorrow afternoon, then dropping slightly to 70 degrees this Thursday. A stream of cold air will be descending across the southern Great Plains Thursday, dropping those daily highs into the mid to low 50s for the next several days. Saturday morning, we'll see a 30% chance of showers, clearing to sunny skies by the afternoon. If we go ahead and take a closer look now at the weather over the next few days, we'll go ahead and take a look here starting Wednesday evening. We can see a low pressure region forming over the Rockies. That's going to move down, become strengthened as it moves across the plains by Lee cyclogenesis. Now, as that's moving across, we can see a dry line extending down across our region. That's going to knock those dew points down a little bit and hopefully take out some of that humidity we've all been dealing with lately. Looking ahead now to Thursday evening, we see that low has moved up and a series of short waves will be moving across in this manner. As those impact this moist air here, instability from those short waves will trigger severe storms across the Ohio River Valley with a chance for a few tornadoes in the evening. Plenty more storms to come in the following weeks as we creep up on tornado season, so be sure to stay tuned both here and on the TUTV Instagram for weather updates. I'm Carter Reed, and this is your TUTV weather.
Hey everyone, today we are interviewing Miss Daytona Owl.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course. She works with the BeHeard Movement, a movement helping with the unhoused population. So, Ms. Owl, can you tell us a little bit about it and where it's located?
Yeah, so I'm a outreach specialist here for the BeHeard Movement in Tulsa. We work with our unhoused population in Tulsa, focusing access on giving them showers, laundry, case management, haircuts, phone charging, just about anything that you can think of. It's a very important place here in Tulsa. It's about a 6-minute drive from TU. It's on Sheridan in between. It's on Admiral in between Sheridan and Memorial. Our address is 7216 East Admiral Place.
And how long have you been working there? How did you find out about it?
I've been working there for a little under a year now. I started out first as a volunteer, so I joined by going to our Sort and Slice event, and that was a really great way for me to engage with just the staff and be able to see what they offer and what they do. And then towards the end of the night, they offered me that they had a part-time position open, and I took it, and here we are, and I've been loving it ever since.
That's wonderful. And so this mobile center model of this program, what kind of benefit, can you tell us a little more about that and maybe how many trailers you have and what the benefit is of this model?
Yeah, so we have 2 shower trailers and 1 laundry trailer, and then we also have a clothing trailer and a barber bus. So that gives us the ability just to be able to bring these facilities into a part of Tulsa that they are not able to be accessed. So from here, the closest walk to a shelter or a shower would be downtown. That's about a 1 to 2 hour walk from here, and about a 4 to 5 hour walk for some other people in Tulsa. So where our services are located is really essential for getting those accesses and those needs to those people.
Thank you. And what challenges have you faced during the program, and maybe some points that have been a little more stressful than others?
Yeah, so you're obviously working any job, you're going to have some stressful situations, but one of our biggest things is just being able to get volunteers and donors. So we love having people come and donate as well as volunteer their time. We will take donations for clothing, food, anything that you can think of, we will take it. And if we cannot use those resources, we go then and donate them to other places. So anything that is donated will be used on site, and if not, used by somebody else. But one of our biggest things is we're just trying to get people to donate $2 a month, and that will be through our website, bhm.guide, and you can donate there, and it's just $2 a month, and that just really gives it gives us a way to give these essential services to our guests.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and everyone make sure to check out bhm.guide and get involved with this amazing program. Coming up now, TUTV reporter Hendrik Dubois brings us a new recurring segment that covers the Student Government Administration's most recent meeting.
Hello, I'm Hendrik Dubois, and this is the weekly Senate update. Let's jump right in. Last week's SGA meeting was one of the most eventful in the past year. 5 new clubs were given charters, new people were confirmed into governmental positions, but the most eventful portion of the evening was the discussion on the SGA Constitution, a discussion that's been ongoing for years. I spoke with Chase Cone, a former senator and chair of the Internal Affairs Committee, and the architect of the updated SGA Constitution.
So I just become the chair, and one of my goals was, the Constitution was outdated. A lot of what we did in SGA just didn't reflect it at all. And we figured instead of changing the way SGA works, we would just change the Constitution because we found ways that work better. So that summer, my big focus was revising the Constitution. So I met with a bunch of SGA leadership, and obviously we had disagreements, and so we argued it all out, and we brought to the beginning of that fall semester what we thought was a really good draft for the Constitution.
The Constitution had been finalized by the end of summer 2024, and senators were free to make changes as they wished all throughout fall. For weeks during the fall semester of 2024, new changes were brought up, and every time that happened, the full 17-page Constitution had to be read aloud before any vote to pass could take place. It passed some weeks, but the Constitution is required to pass 2 weeks in a row to be able to be given to the student body. The final 2 weeks before the election cycle, the Constitution was passed and sent to the student body so they could vote on it. The student body ended up deciding to pass the Constitution, but there was one more problem. It had to be approved by the Board of Trustees. There ended up being some legal holes in the Constitution, and it was not approved by the Board of Trustees and sent back to the Senate. Which brings us here. Last week, the Constitution was brought to the floor with the required revisions, and it caused quite a stir within the Senate. A recess was called, and there was a scurry through the Senate floor to make sure senators could find the right people to talk to. The full Constitution with revisions ended up being read, taking up a full quarter hour, and a vote was held on whether to accept it. The vote ended up failing, meaning the Constitution will have to come up again in another Senate meeting, further postponing the constitutional crisis within the student government. That's all for this week, folks. Next week, I'll be back with an update on everything new in SGA. For TUTV, I'm Hendrik Dubois.
Tulsa basketball has been battling through a demanding stretch of conference play, and the last 3 games have delivered plenty of storylines for both the men's and women's teams. Let's start with the men. The Golden Hurricane have competed in every outing, even though they have been searching recently for a win. Their most recent matchup came on February 14th against Wichita State, where Tulsa fought to the final minute before falling 81-77. Before that, they hosted University of Alabama Birmingham on February 11th and kept the game tight throughout, but ultimately dropped a 68-63 decision. And on February 8th, Tulsa traveled to South Florida, where a strong second-half push wasn't enough to overcome the Bulls in an 80-74 loss. On the women's side, Tulsa opened their 3-game stretch at home against UTSA, where the Roadrunners controlled the tempo and handed the Hurricane a 66-47 defeat. From there, the Golden Hurricane women's team went on the road for back-to-back road matchups, starting with South Florida. The Hurricane put together solid offensive stretches, but couldn't keep pace late, falling 72-60, with their most recent contest coming at Florida Atlantic, where Tulsa battled hard throughout and stayed within striking distance, but FAU closed stronger, giving Tulsa a 61-55 loss to finish the road swing. Both teams now look ahead to the upcoming schedule with opportunities to regroup and regain momentum. With conference standings tightening and March approaching, every possession and every adjustment becomes increasingly important for the Golden Hurricane teams. That's all for sports. I'm Andrew Griffin. See you next week.
Yesterday was President's Day, so I went around and asked a few students who their favorite presidents were and why. Who's your favorite president?
My favorite president is Teddy Roosevelt.
Barack Obama. My favorite president is Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Abraham Lincoln.
My favorite president is FDR because of the New Deal and all the good stuff that did.
Roosevelt, either of them. Teddy because he's cool, FDR because he's actually a good president.
I just feel like he kept politics sane in an era of, Twitter and everything. And then now we have Trump who's making it not sane. And so I feel like he deserves a lot of respect for keeping it sane.
Because he led a lot of good change for the country. Well, this was good at the time.
He did a lot of good things for national parks, which I really enjoy. Right.
Because in 5th grade I dressed up as him during Wax Museum, and I really admire his beard and really super tall hat.
Howdy, welcome back to the desk. I'm Bruce Bigler.
And I'm Luke Montemare.
Here to bring you some of the most exciting events going on campus and beyond. Coming up, we take a look at new leadership at TU Student Veterans Association.
But first, let's check out some upcoming campus events. Today is the last chance for students to submit their campus housing and dining agreement to secure a housing selection for next year. Students can retain their current housing assignment if space allows, participate in the housing selection to receive a new assignment, or join a roommate group with someone who is retaining. Greek life students can also move into university-owned sorority housing and the Sigma Nu fraternity house. For more detailed instructions and deadlines, please visit the Housing and Dining portal on the University of Tulsa homepage. Collins Fitness Center is hosting a February Fitness Challenge on Wednesday, February 18th. Want to test out your max upper body strength? Participate in the 1-rep bench press challenge, open to students of any strength level. Come see how much you can lift this Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Collins Fitness Center.
The Student Government Association will announce the results for the 2026-2027 executive elections at Party at the Polls. Students are invited to celebrate with student government leaders this Wednesday, February 18th from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Mocktails, desserts, and snacks will be served at the Faculty Club, where students can meet their future student government leaders. Party at the Polls is open to all students at TU and is free to attend. Voting closes tonight at 9 p.m., so if you haven't cast your vote yet, make sure to do so on Harvey before it's too late. The U Tulsa Symphony Orchestra is performing its Music for an Early Spring concert next Monday, February 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Join for an evening of two classics, Dvorak's Eighth Symphony and Mozart's Figaro Overture, performed by a group of some of the school's most talented musicians. The program is directed by Professor Richard Wagner and will take place in the Gusman Hall at the Lorton Performance Center.
Now we go to TUTV reporter Aristotle Orsini to hear about a recent event held by Students for Justice in Palestine.
On Thursday, Students for Justice in Palestine hosted an event called Palestine 101, where they educated the community about the history of the conflict with Israel. The event was run by Luke Turns and Eric Beck, two members of SJP's steering committee who focus on education and research. The event ended with an opportunity for students to ask any questions they had about Palestine and have them answered by the steering committee. For TUTV, I'm Aristotle Orsini.
Last semester, TUTV reporter Tony Scardino produced a weekly series spotlighting TU's student veterans community. This week, he meets with the new Director of Veterans Affairs to learn more about her illustrious career with the university.
This week, I had the opportunity to chat with our new Director of Veterans Affairs, only to learn that she's been a legendary mainstay in the TU community for decades.
I've actually been with the university for 43 years, and I've worked with our student veterans and military-connected students for about 40 years. So I did start out in the registrar's office, and I worked my way up as associate registrar, but I was always the VA school certifying official for our student veterans. So that's been my entire career at the university.
How many veterans are usually enrolled at any given time?
We have around 64 veterans and 13 reservists. And then we also have around 75 military-connected students, the dependents. And the branches that are represented are there's the Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy. We did have one person in the Coast Guard, but I'm not sure if that student is still here or not. And of course, we don't have anybody with the Space Force just yet.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
I love working with the students. That's my heart.
Next, Army Staff Sergeant Brian Marler was kind enough to answer a few of my questions.
Why did I choose TU? Harvard of the South. I live in Tulsa, the next major university that offers the degree programs that are offered similar. Anything that would be comparable would be Norman, Stillwater, things of that nature. RSU, NSU, they're appealing, but their degrees are kind of general in nature, it seemed like. So I wanted something a little more specific. And you get a free minor by going to the University of Tulsa. I was an 11 Bravo infantryman in the United States Army. I retired as a staff sergeant. I served for 8 years. I entered January 3rd, 2012, and I separated August 31st, 2020. It's just challenging, and the challenge is definitely rewarding. The other challenge is, or most rewarding thing, would be interacting with the generation below me. For a lot of these students, it's their first time leaving the nest. And so I kind of find that rewarding to sit back and think like, dang, that was me one time.
Join me again next week as I profile a different member of this unique community. For TUTV, I'm Tony Scardina.
Our new series, Spotlighting Music, takes a local turn this week with a rock band right out of OKC. We go now to Anderson Bell for the Music Minute.
Thanks, Bruce, and welcome back to Anderson Bell's Music Minute. Today, we are reviewing a classic album by a local staple, Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots by the Flaming Lips. Now,
This album was released in 2002 and was the band's 10th studio album and remains to be one of their most popular. It's been performed live in concert multiple times, including here in Oklahoma City in 2024, which included a special message by Mayor David Holt commemorating the band and their impact on Oklahoman culture and music. Now, the concept at first might seem kind of silly, a girl fighting pink robots, but underneath that lies a much more rich and complex message, dealing with themes of love, mortality, and pacifism in an unforgiving world. The way this is composed is a slight departure from the group's noise and alt-rock roots, pursuing more of an electronic direction, which some have termed psychedelic pop. Most of the tracks are vast soundscapes that use great use of synths and orchestral music. However, there's still lots of beautiful guitar work, and this stands out on tracks such as the instrumental Approaching Pavonis Mons by Balloon, which won a Grammy for the Best Instrumental Rock Performance. Some of my favorites on the album are Fight Test and Do You Realize, which was the Oklahoma State rock song for a time. Overall, I'd give this album a strong 8.3 out of 10. It's a great place to start for people just trying to get into the Flaming Lips, and it's not my favorite of theirs, but it's still beautifully composed, lyrically strong, and full of emotion.
Thank you, Anderson. I'll have to go give it a listen. Luke, what stood out to you about today's stories?
I was really interested in the housing situation. I know I definitely needed to get on my housing and make sure I could retain my room for next year. What about you?
Me as well. Last year, as we think about the housing crisis, if you guys remember, nobody could get apartments, and so just seeing that there is much less of a crisis going on at the university, that's good that we're fixing our mistakes and moving forward. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. Be sure to vote if you haven't already in the student government elections, and be there at the Party at the Polls tomorrow from 7:30 to 9:30 as we tune in to find out who our student leaders will be for the upcoming year. But until next week, I'm Bruce Bigler.
I'm Luke Montemare.
Thank you so much for tuning in.